Hey, welcome back to the Expert Scale Show. We are here, the one who started it all, with Anik Singal. What's up, dude? Glad to have you in the studio today.
What up? Yeah, my studio's been ripped apart. I don't know what's going on. We're moving stuff, getting a new office, but the studio's staying, but I'm getting a new set because I hated it. So that's my day today.
Those peptides aren't giving you as much pep in your step today, huh? You need some more peptides?
Today. Okay, last week I way over peptided, by the way. So just in case anyone's out there, doing the whole peptide game, I took a massive on dose of NAD. Totally felt like shit after that. And that was the same week that I started taking methylene blue, which I love, by the way. Holy shit. I think I'm addicted to it, and that's okay because it's not a drug. But both of those together are massive mitochondria activators. And turns out my body activates very quickly, which is a good thing because it means I need less of that stuff to get the effect. But put my immune system in way overdrive, and this weekend I was sick as a dog. I've recovered ever since, but in the world of peptides, as much as I want, I have this the entrepreneur in me says if one of something is great, then two of something must be much better. Not true when you're injecting yourself with shit. So just FYI, public service announcement to anyone out there who's taking vitamins and peptides. Yeah, but hey, look, I found a balance. Like I'm feeling really good now. So like it's 3 steps forward, 1 or 2 backwards with me. But yeah, man, I'm all about it. Doing all the injections, taking all those pills, doing whatever I can to get healthy.
That's the typical entrepreneurial way. I think you and I have talked about this. I've done the exact same thing.
Yes.
And Andrew, if we weren't going to put the explicit label on this episode, we are now. So there we go. Just get Anik talking about peptides, and here we go.
Yep. Exactly.
Hey, so we got a fun topic to tee things up today. We're talking about the new rules of scaling expert businesses. So this is a topic that you and I have been discussing since last November. And basically anybody I know who understands the expert game, who's been in this space for more than a few years, knows that the game is changing. The rules, the fundamentals don't change, but the way those fundamentals are walked out has been changing in a massive way over the last couple of years. So what's your take on that? What have you been seeing to kind of tee us up with all the context that you have with your 20 plus years of experience? What are the big macro changes you're seeing right now in the expert space?
Yeah, man. So here's the interesting thing. I think it's changing. Funny enough, I say this all the time, and I think there's only a few old timers in this internet marketing space that can attest to this. It's just cyclical, right? If you look at the markets, right? Markets go up, markets go down. Markets go up, markets go down. As a matter of fact, if markets have gone up for a X period of time, you can just kind of bet that they'll go down at some point. There has to be a correction, they call it, in the market space. This is a cycle that's repeated itself for decades now, and it's to be expected. And as a matter of fact, most smart investors would say, if the market keeps going up and 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 never corrects, they're scared as crap. They're like, hey, the longer that correction is avoided, the bigger it will be. And so we were due for a quote unquote correction in this market. And COVID happened and it screwed things up. I was on the record, prior to COVID or COVID time saying it's here. We're entering the low ticket cycle, as I called it. And it's just human behavior. Now, you know what? The other day I was talking to someone and they said, oh, so it must be economic. And I said, you'd think that, but it's actually, I don't think it's as much economic. Of course, the two go hand in hand, but it's more human behavior. Okay. So let me explain what I mean here. If you're used to hearing the exact same, like, okay, Richard, your kid comes into your room, it's 9 o'clock, and she comes running in, Daddy, I need help. The first time you're like, oh my God, what's wrong? You go into her room and she's like, my stuffed toy is lost. And you're like, seriously, got me out of bed for this? Like, this is not an emergency. And then the next day at 9 o'clock, she comes in, Daddy, I need help. Again, you get up, you're like, what's up? And then again, it's a stuffed toy emergency. You're like, this isn't, by the 5th or 6th or 7th day, you've become kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? You've become like kind of numb to that moment. Like by the 5th or 6th day, she comes running in, you're gonna be like, I already know it's not an emergency, like, and God forbid it's like the boy that cried wolf story, right? So same thought process goes into marketing. And so when one funnel works really well in our industry, others start to quickly emulate it. And suddenly that funnel, that strategy, that model, that pricing gets seen again and again. It becomes the daddy, there's an emergency 5 days in. And the market, like, so for a while it was book a strategy session, free strategy session, get on the phone and we'll blah, 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 blah. And, you know, in time, the market figures out, hey, that's just a pitch call. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want a strategy session, right? So the market's behavior kind of A, gets burned out on that messaging, and B, they're like, oh, so I've already bought 6 of these 10K packages. You know, I didn't get the results from it, regardless of whether it was their fault or, you know, whatever. But so the market starts to kind of turn their back on that type of offer. And that's why the human behavior changes. Now, when you add an economic impact to it, and you add the fact that maybe there's an economic downturn at the same time, people also cannot afford as much of the 10K offer, that just accelerates that process. So that's all we're in, okay? And when around when COVID happened, everybody and their mom was launching webinars. 1997 offers at the back end, and you were seeing ads that went to webinar funnels all day long. So over time, the market just started to adapt and say, this isn't live, there will be a replay, and it's just going to be a big pitch fest. So the response rate to a webinar dropped quite a bit, and people started saying webinars aren't working anymore. But that's not true. It's just you need to approach them differently. There needs to be something different about how you do things. When COVID happened, I was like, here we go. That's it. We were anyways due for a cycle. Human behavior was starting to change. And now we're going to have this massive economic impact. And so we got to go low ticket. Now, funny enough, I didn't really follow my own advice. And in a way, I'm happy I didn't. And in a way, I'm not happy I didn't. Because who would have guessed that trillions of dollars would be infused into the economy? You know, I couldn't have guessed that there would be a lockdown and people would be stuck at home and they would turn to the internet and start trying to buy all these things, and they'd have extra capital money that was given to them by the government to spend on it. So if anything, it kind of revived. And so this is like that artificial, you know, government investment into something where it just like, even though the high ticket should have taken a deeper or a steeper turn, and we should have entered the low ticket phase long back, that bump, it created, and you know what that did? It did exactly what happens in the market when you avoid a correction for too long. It's making the eventual inevitable correction much worse, so to say. And so that's where we are today. So that was a long dissertation to tell everybody, none of this surprises me, and none of this is bad. It's just human behavior changing. We're at low ticket again. People are burned out. There's competition came pouring in during COVID time. A lot of people selling the same messaging. Those people are falling off the trees now. They can't survive because paid ads aren't working as well, and they didn't have a genuine business. They had a bit of a cash cow. So as that tree shakes, the paid traffic costs will come down again. Human behavior will be less burned out. As the economy recovers, people will be more apt to spending money. And next thing you know, we're going to go from low ticket to back to high ticket, back to super ticket. It's going to be the same cycle. So when you've been around long enough, if you can just predict those cycles, get a little bit ahead of it, you're better prepared. Right now, we're in a place where people want to buy, they want to learn, but they're burned out on the same old ways. They're a little bit weird about what's happening in the market. Am I going to lose my job? So they're not spending big bucks. They will, but they take more time to court. They take more time to get to know them. It's honestly, man, I always try to drive like real life experiences as an example, as analogies for people. If you're out there dating and you're going to date a girl who's had like 5 horrific relationships, you're just going to take longer to win her trust and to get that person over versus someone who doesn't have that experience. So right now, the market, think of this, your customers have just had like really bad relationships and they're kind of in a weird place. So they're not saying they don't want to date you. They're just saying, take it slow. So that's where the low ticket comes in. And it's like, hey, let me earn your trust, get to know me. I'm good. Once you're in my community, you learn more about me, you're going to want more. And that's the psychology. And if high ticket marketers can just understand that psychology, they'll finally embrace why low ticket is so important. I've been giving this example. I'll never tell the name of the person, but there's a very dear friend, was part of a huge organization doing like 70, $80 million a year, high ticket only. And I would say he was lovingly one of my biggest critics on the low ticket stuff. Didn't want to hear anything about it. Didn't want anything to do with it. Um, and I've been saying the same message to him for years now. And I mean, you're talking about $70, $80 million a year empire fell completely apart in like 6 weeks.
Hmm.
Like it was I would have never guessed it would happen that fast, but the market just changed. The behavior changed. Facebook must have made some changes on their advertising algorithms, and everything hit them at one time. And now all of a sudden, the next thing I know, they're asking for our low ticket training. And I told him too, I said, low ticket's a different ballgame, man. It's a different psychology. It's about relationship building, community building, trust building. It's not about direct marketing. And what he's really good at is like punch, direct marketing, dollar in, $2 out, get the sale. And I'm like, that day is temporarily at least gone. I'm not sure it'll ever come back because we're adapting now. The younger generations up and coming are all relationship driven. We're all social media driven. We have access to bountiful amounts of information at our fingertips. AI has entered the landscape. So I don't know if we're ever going to go back. And to be fair, I was one of the first people. I mean, I bought the domain name interactive marketing because I called the death of direct marketing over 10 years ago. I literally said it's so I just say it's not dead, it's evolving. It's evolving into something called interactive marketing. I just don't think the days of beating people over the head and getting a sale real quick it is a day that's going to work. So anyways, what a short question and an incredibly long answer, but I wanted to get into the psychology of it so that people understand
Solid answer.
why I am talking about low tickets. Not just, I'm not just trying to get you to sell books. There's a reason.
I asked you to tee us up. You teed us up perfectly. So that's really what we want to focus on today is the transition, maybe we'll say evolution, as you said, from hype-driven marketing that leads to high-ticket selling only, to building relationships via low-ticket products, right? This is what I heard you just say. So tell me if I got it right. Building relationships via low-ticket products, right? That kind of seamlessly lead people deeper and deeper into a relationship with you, which can lead still to high-ticket offerings. It's just the sales cycle is not going to be as direct. It's not going to be as quick. And people who are dependent on that model right now are in a very risky position. Is that what I just heard?
100%. I mean, they're not just in a risky position; they're already feeling the pain. It's beyond risk. The risk was they were in a risky position 6 to 12 months ago. They're in the middle. They're in the eye of the hurricane right now, and you're 100% right. Listen, a lot of people will still buy high ticket. Like people still buy. During the Depression, the Great Depression, people were still buying stuff. Like that doesn't change. Last thing I'll add here is I always ask people this, right, including my buddy. How do you buy? So if you're listening to this, how do you buy? Do you like having things jammed down your throat? Do you like that old school hard pitch, buy now or never see this again? We have limited spaces when they really don't type of pitch. I mean, so and you're listening, you're saying, no, I hate those. Then why do you think that will work on the rest of the world? Everyone's evolved, right? So part of the low ticket isn't about the pricing. It's more about a new approach to selling, which also, by the way, happens to be more compliant. So that's great because it keeps you out of trouble by, breaking the FTC rules.
Talk about down market versus up market and what you discovered there, because I think that will be really helpful to a lot of people listening.
Yeah. Down market, up market. It's okay. Look. So, and when I say down market, it can sometimes it can sound like I'm being derogatory, and I'm not. Down market are people that are they're not educated on the topic. They're potentially more vulnerable. They are looking for so in the example of like business opportunity, right? A down market is someone typically who's like, I don't have any money. Like I got a mortgage coming up. I got rent to pay. I got car payments to pay. It's coming up in 30 days. And they see this webinar that says, here's how to make, a gajillion, $1 billion every month. And they immediately are like, oh my God, I could do this like next week and all my problems will be solved. And they've never run a business. They don't barely know how to open up google.com. They're not educated on it. They don't have prior education in business. They're not sophisticated enough in that topic to understand the nuances. And so they come in with unrealistic expectations. Now, they can be talked into spending more money more quicker because they're in a vulnerable space. But they come in with those unrealistic expectations, which you very likely were 100% responsible for implanting in their minds. And they just don't know better. The down market just doesn't know better, right? But they are also the worst customers in many capacity because A, they shouldn't have bought your product at all. Your product's not going to solve their problem. B, they're in a desperate situation. C, they don't have any money, so they're not going to buy your upsells and your back ends. And D, they're most likely to ask for a refund. And E, they're most likely to submit complaints. And F, that actually is the market that the FTC and other regulators want to protect the most, the vulnerable, right? In the investing world, we have accredited investors and non-accredited investors. It's on purpose, right? The government will ruthlessly protect the non-accredited investors far before they protect the accredited. That's the same kind of example as upmarket, downmarket. Now, in the upmarket, you're talking to people that might be professionals, lawyers, engineers, business owners. They have the knowledge, they have the understanding, they have the experience, they can vet your offering in a much more logical place. They've got the ability to execute on what you teach. They have realistic expectations. They have money. They're going to stick around a lot longer. They're going to buy way more of your stuff. They're not going to complain. They're not going to ask for refunds. Why? Because they take their time to make an educated, good decision that they believe is right for them. They don't get pushed into it. They don't want to get pushed. The minute you start pushing and doing all those direct marketing tactics, Upmarket walks out the door, says, I don't want anything to do with this. So ironically, when you do this aggressive direct marketing, you actually attract the wrong people and detract, like repel the right people. And once you turn that system around, you start to actually attract the right people. Maybe it's a little bit more painful in the first short term. Long term, it's a no-brainer.
It's a huge paradigm shift for many people listening. And I would imagine, based on your experience, and I've definitely seen this, the upmarket, because they're more sophisticated, may actually take a little longer to decide to buy. Sometimes they're very quick to buy. If they have a problem, they have the money, they buy more quickly. So I guess that's not always true. But once you have them as a customer, their LTV is so much greater because typically they're already making money. They have a supply of more money coming in. And they want to continue to do business with people who've done right by them.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a call today with someone who's pitching me a service, 20 minutes. It's a service that'll cost me thousands of dollars a month. It's not a small decision. But we got on. He presented. At the end of the presentation, I said, great, thanks, got it. I'm going to go talk to my team. I'm going to take the weekend to consider it. And I'll be back in touch with you on Tuesday. I should be ready to make a decision by Wednesday or Thursday. And his response was, absolutely no problem. I'll send you the deck. I'll send you the proposal. Connect me to whoever, whenever. And if I don't hear from you, I'll follow up with you on Wednesday. Does that work? I said, sure. If at that point he had said, well, I only have 3 client spots left, and if you don't sign up by Friday, immediately I would have said, thank you, bye. Now, he didn't push because he understands it too, right? The right people will buy the wrong people. And I don't need to talk to him again. I got what info I need. I just need time to consider it. It's not even about whether his service are good or not. You know what I'm taking time to consider? I'm taking time to consider whether this is the right time for us or not, whether we will properly utilize the service or not. So he can't impact that decision. I need time to think. I need to bring in the right team members, ask them. And but when I buy, I'll stay with him potentially for years, and he'll end up earning multiple 6 figures and not have to worry about me. So he could push. Had he pushed, the wrong people would get pushed and buy, and the right people, aka me, would say, I'm never working with you. No, thank you. And that's a prime example of why I think overutilization of direct marketing in today's day and age is killing your it's killing your conversions and it's not killing your conversions, it's killing your business, which is worse,
Which is worse, a lot worse, I would think. So let's make this practical for people listening, right? So you were the inventor of the Pentagona scale. So for anybody who isn't familiar with that model, we'll be talking more about it on this show. But you talk about how you can basically distill an expert business down to 5 main pillars, right? There's offer, there's conversion, there's acquisition, monetization, and team. Let's talk about each one of those 5 through the lens of this evolution that's happening in the online space, maybe with an emphasis on the first 4. So
Sure.
how
And I'll be
how
honest
should
with
we
you.
go ahead?
No, I was going to say, I don't think this applies only to expert businesses. Ironically, I think it applies to all businesses. I'm applying it right now to my wife's business that she's launching, which is an offline, in-person, physical franchise business. It's not online at all. And I'm applying it to the T to her business. So, what were you going to ask?
No, it's brilliant. And business is business. I know that some of the
Yeah.
nuance within each one of these pillars,
Change.
I'm curious to see how you're thinking about these pillars specifically in regards to, let's just even say an expert-owned business or an online business, right? We have agencies listening, we have expert SaaS owners listening, we have coaches, consultants, and I'm sure we have a mix of other business owners too. But when you think about how offers are changing, you just talked a lot about the sales psychology, the direct response, go, go, go. What would you say is something? So let me back up for a second here. For a long time in the expert space, let's just say even in the last couple of years, what was taught in regards to offers is that essentially your offer needs to be this, get this result. It's all about this result. It's all about promising results, many times, which is not being done compliantly, right? Or you don't pay. And a litany of people followed that advice. And just from experience, I've heard many, many of them watch their business implode because they made promises they couldn't fulfill on. Right. And then they had a crazy amount of refunds and chargebacks because, hey, they told people you don't pay if we don't get you this XYZ result. Talk a little bit about your perspective on how experts need to be thinking about designing their offer, and not just their offer, but their offers for this evolution you're seeing in the online business space.
Sure. So 2 things: offer stack. I probably spend more time nowadays thinking about the offer stack than I do the offer. It kind of goes back and forth, but I think that's a byproduct of I've written so many offers in my life now that it's just a bit more natural, so I don't have to think about it as much. But it's funny, going back and forth with Jason Fladlian. So we're working on a really cool project, and going back and forth with my team. So there's 3 players, me, Jason, and my team, and we're all going back and forth on this document, and we're trying to come up with the $15K offer that. Or we know what it is, but we're trying to articulate it properly. And I'm looking at what everyone's doing, and I eventually stopped and asked a very simple question. Okay? And I just said, look at the journey of the customer to the point that they've reached this $15K potential package. What do they want right now? Not what they need. What do they want? It's a very simple question. But I think people overcomplicate offers, right? Because everyone gets so stuck in I must have 5 bonuses. I must have this. And actually, when they just kind of fill those pieces, they end up ruining the offer because they forget the customer at the end in mind. So, for example, today, same sales call I had, right? The guy's offer was brilliant. And I was asking him some questions, and he just goes, look, you want vetted calls on your calendar that are double confirmed, that are looking to invest in your company. I said, yes. He goes, great. This is how much we charge per call. And I'm like, wait, what about, agency management fee, this, that, blah, blah, blah. He goes, nope. You pay for your ad spend and you pay us this much per call. You get vetted calls. We do everything else in between. So that was an example of an agency that really understood the psychology of someone like me. And that kind of was done. The pitch was done. I was like, oh, this is a low risk. I can immediately calculate my risk profile and say, yeah, this is a no-brainer for me. And so how do you get to the point where your end consumer says it's a no-brainer? What do they really want? Not what can you give them, not how many bonuses you have. What did they want, right? And then the purpose of these bonuses and all these other things is meant to address objections. That's it. So if you get on a webinar, right? So we've done this exercise, Richard, with BOE, right? With BOE, it's like, we give you this, we give you this, we give you this. No, that actually drives people away because the types of people we're trying to attract don't want a lot of things. And so what have you and I done? We've changed the process to sit down with someone and say, what do you want? Like, let's talk about what's going to move the needle for your business this year. They start talking and we're like, wow, you really need to fix your offer stack. Oh yeah, I'm lost in that area. Great. Here's how BOE will get that done for you this year. And notice how we just walk away from talking about any of the other aspects. If they say, hey, yeah, we have all of these, but these are just supportive factors. Our core goal, fix this problem for you. Would it be worth for you at the end of the year, if we fix this issue for you, would this have been a positive investment? And they say, oh yeah. It's like, great. Here you go. Sign up. And so notice how my approach on offers, right? And especially the higher the price of the offer, the less you should be offering. It's the craziest, weirdest thing. Seriously, the higher the price of the offer, don't bonus stack on a sales call, right? So for example, we're doing like a 50K thing. And here's the pitch for the 50K thing. 5 days, Jason and Anik in one room, walk in and walk out with an optimized, approved, signed off webinar by Jason and Anik. That's it. Now, are there other things? Do they get some chat GPTs and some prompts and some software? Yeah, they do. But that is all a part of us having you walk in and walk out with an approved webinar from us. How does that sound? Do you think it would be valuable for your business if you had a webinar that both Jason and Anik signed off on and you were in a room with them for 5 days and could craft it with them? And there's going to be people that say, no, great, you're not a fit. And there's going to be people that say, hell yeah, I'd make $100,000 the next day. Sweet. Sign up, right? And so when you get to webinars is where you see the stack of the bonuses and all. So I have asked this question to so many people that are info marketers, and I got to tell you, man, 8 out of 10 can't answer it. What is the journey of your customer? Where have they been that led them to your webinar? And what do they want? Right? So, and then you just give them that. You just say, it's so easy. Then you just say, here's the training program that gets you blah, 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 blah. And then the person just goes, oh, now the second piece of the offer is believability. So now that they say, okay, you said I can have it, do I believe? So then you sit down and ask a second question. What's in their way? It's not information. Let's face it, they can go to ChatGPT, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. It's not information. So what's in their way? Is it something technical? Is it lack of knowledge? Is it lack of confidence? Do they need a coach? Are they stuck? Is it lack of capital? Whatever the problem is that's in their way, that's the things you solve in the bonuses. So you work to increase believability. So tell them what they want in the main offer, and the bonuses increase believability that they'll achieve what you said. And that's a great offer.
It's so simple, but I feel like most of the offers that I've even heard when I've been pitched on the phone or, you know, a higher end sales page, a webinar, don't actually fit that criteria. They don't. They speak to all sorts of stuff that I get that in some cases might be sexy or attractive or cool, but it's not centered around clarity on, as a buyer, like exactly what I want at that stage in the buying cycle. I think all this ties together, right? Because if you're going after an upmarket audience, I think one of the big difference with most upmarket audiences is they know at some level what they want. They don't just know aspirationally, like, I want to make $1 billion, right? Where you're not, what I think is really interesting about your offer, and some of this is because you're the compliance guy, but you're not saying Jason and, you know, Anik will help you launch a bajillion dollar webinar, right? You're not making outcome claims, but you are actually saying, here is the concrete deliverable. And if someone's upmarket, I would assume they know, like they already know at that point in the buying cycle, I want a webinar that is stamped by an expert, right? Like I want an expert stamped webinar that will work for my niche. And so you've identified that, you've stayed compliant in the process. And you've also, I think actually it's more believable in the current market when, at least to upmarket people, when you don't make those crazy claims, because those are the things that actually now trigger red flags for me.
100%. So think of it this way. Let's go back to talking about the customer journey, right? And by the way, Jason and I, we've spent so much time on the first offer. So our first offer we're doing together is 3K, then there'll be a 15K, and then there's going to be a 40, 50K. And the 3K offer, we both basically played devil's advocate with each other. We just kept harassing each other, saying like, well, and what we were doing was going over objections, issues. Some of those need to be addressed in the webinar. Some of them need to be addressed in the offer. But if you think customer journey, ideally, right? If we're going to run a workshop that's let's just say 50K, easy math. We don't really want 20 people. I think that's good. 20 people, 25, let's just say 20. That's $1 million workshop, right? It's $1 million for Jason and I to grab our families and go off to the Caribbean for 5 days, spend 5 days hanging out, talking about stuff that we anyways talk about during our regular week. And we both end up generating $1 million in revenue from that. So that's awesome. We don't want 30, 40, 50 people there. And so if that's the case, think about it this way. Ideally, we really only want the people there that have been through some of our other training. They've bought the 3K or the 15K. And like, if they're coming straight from an ad, we don't even really want them in that room. It's just not they're not there. They haven't gone through our core training. It'll distract the whole event. We'll have to go basic. So when that happens, well, here's something we know about a person who's been through that journey, right? So so you close your eyes and say, someone who's about to buy Anik and Jason's 50K program, they have already been wowed by Anik and Jason. They already know that Anik and Jason are the best at webinars. They already know that never in history has there been the two top people in webinar marketing together in a room with 20 people teaching this. They don't need me to tell them that I've made tens of millions or a couple hundred million with webinars. They already know that, right? And so all of that credibility and trust is what we lean on. So the product that we eventually sell isn't results. It's fact of matter what they get. And if the person's on the phone and doesn't know us or believe that we're worth 50 grand, then we simply say, okay, let us know when you do believe it's worth it. You just obviously haven't been through enough of our stuff. We don't try to push that sale. We just say wrong person and move to the next person, because with the Ascension model, what I love is you have a constant influx of qualified leads. So you don't have to force these sales. Same thing for the 15K. There's going to be people that say, well, I don't know, that extra help we're getting or that this or that is not really worth it to me. Okay. What's happened there is you've either not felt enough pain, or we've not built enough value, or you truly just don't need it. I mean, you might be really damn good at webinars and you're like, I don't need all that help. That's fine. One of those three scenarios, two of which will get addressed in time, and the third of which is not going to get addressed. Okay. Right? That when you understand their journey, it shifts how you pitch your offer, shifts how you create your offer. So I will tell you, of the last 20 years, today I am the most simplistic with my offers that I've ever been, because I'm not trying to force them down the throat of the master markets. I already know that my offer is being seen by people that are self-qualified. A book is a great offer because it doesn't need a lot of pitching. People like buying books. Well, once you buy the book, watch some of the videos related to it, end up popping up on a webinar with me. You already have some level of trust because you see me as an author and you already gave me money. So now selling you, I just know if you buy the Don't Say That book, why would you buy my academy? There's done for you legal documents. There's a certification program. There's access to Greg and Anik for specific questions you have. Go ahead. Pick your experience. If you can do it on your own, there's the book. Thank you. If you want all the additional help and support and questions and Q&As and done for you legal documents and all, upgrade to the academy. No promises, no nothing. It's just a natural flow. It's a very matter of fact. And this is how we make all of our purchasing decisions in our life. All right. I don't go to a store down the street and have a salesperson do all this song and dance. Maybe I need their help picking between two or three things, but like I kind of know what I want, and then I pick it up. So I think people have overcomplicated offers, in my opinion. I think if
Mm.
you do your pre-marketing and branding and you bring them in the right way, I think offers are literally just a matter of what do they want, what's it going to take to make them believe they can get it,
Yeah.
and put
What
it
do
in
they
front of
want?
them.
What's in their way? And that takes deep
Yeah.
understanding really of just who you're serving. I want to harp on something you said though, because I think it's really intriguing to me. Interactive marketing. It's literally what you were just talking about. A choose your own adventure style approach to
Yeah.
marketing. I can't remember who it
Yeah.
was who said it. Maybe it was the founder of HubSpot, but he talked about how, basically we need to start creating content playgrounds for our buyers, where essentially it's
Mhm.
like if you want to go do the seesaw or go down the slide, or instead of it being this kind of straight direct marketer approach, like you got to give people different ways they can interact and engage with you and your content, because different people are going to convert different ways. And that's what I just heard you say, right? Some people will buy the book, some people will go right to the
Yeah.
academy, some people will follow your YouTube channel for a year. And so that's actually a
Yeah.
perfect segue into conversion and kind of acquisition, right? I guess I'm just teeing you up with that to go, how do expert business and online business owners need to think differently about conversion and acquisition in the current evolving environment?
Yeah. So I'm the copywriter, by the way. So, 20 plus years ago, that's my traditional training. I came into the space as a copywriter. I still believe I'm one of the better ones, and I don't follow any formulas. Here's something I'm embarrassed and also a little bit proud to admit, and I mean it. I'm not lying when I say I have never read one copywriting book. Not a one. I have taken only one copywriting course, which I was forced to way back early in the day. Didn't like it. Um, I just have brute force experience, and my mentor would keep teaching me, how to make it better. But here I am with that level of depth of copy, um, background, and I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's as important anymore. And I actually think
Mm.
a lot of people are over copying their stuff, and they're making the copy so good that they're rebelling the good audiences and attracting the wrong ones. And so, is it about the funnels? Man, I have never seen a shitty offer sell well because the funnel was great.
Hmm.
I just haven't seen that. I've seen a lot of great offers sell with horrible funnels.
That's what I was
You
going to say.
know,
I've seen a lot of those.
I've seen a lot of that. So it tells you what's important. So like a funnel is important to a degree, yeah, sure, but it's not the be all end all.
Mm.
I just think, again, let's go to simplistic questions. And I think people sometimes get irritated with me because I'm becoming more of a philosopher with this stuff than I am even a tactical person. But that's where it's important. It's like, what are you trying to achieve?
Mm.
So someone's like, what funnel should I do? I'm like, I don't know. What do you want? And they'll look at me like, oh man, just tell me how to make some money. I'm like, well, hold on. Who's your market? How big is the market? The bigger the
Mm.
market, the less you can charge. You make it up in volume. You have a small market, right? If I want to get the air conditioning fixed at my house, that's $1,000. Same thing get fixed at my old building, my commercial building, $7,000. Like, what the hell? It's the same. You're gonna do the same stuff. Well, commercial building and commercial guys there's less commercial buildings than there are residential buildings. It costs more money. It's just economies of scale. So a lot of your pricing decisions aren't about what you think is the right price or what I or Richard think is the right price. It's what can your market,
Mm.
like, how do the numbers work, right? Like, how big is the market and how much you have to charge to be able to make the thing you want to make. And then I'll talk to a lot of people that are like, I want to change the world. I want to have massive impact. I want to get my message out to the world. Great, then go low ticket. Write a book. Start a podcast. Let's build a community, right? And they'll be like, oh, it sounds like a lot of work. I don't want to do that. Well, you told me you want to make impact. That's how
Mm.
it's gonna happen. Then you get the people that are like, ah, man, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I got 3 kids. I want to make some money, but I just want a lifestyle business. I want to be able to make 3, 4, 500 grand a year net. I don't want employees, maybe a couple of virtual assistants. But great. Let's build a Facebook group or a community. Let's do a little light retargeting ads. Get them to book a call with you. Close deals. Don't charge anyone a damn penny less than 10 or 15 or 20 grand. We got ourselves a business cooking. And 2 people, same room, I'll give exact opposite advice to. And it is
Mm.
primarily because what is the outcome that you're looking for? So I spend more of my time now with our members saying, okay, let's go strategically what you're looking to do. Where are you going to be in future? Where do you
Mm.
want to be now? And let's, you play football, you go out there, you don't just say, hey guys, what's the play that team ran last drive that got them a touchdown. Let's just play that again. No. You look at the scenario, you look at the field, where you are, who you have, which tight end is in, which wide receiver is in, and you pick a play that fits that situation. That's how I look at funnels. I look at my situation and I pick a funnel. So conversion, I think, has become a lot more about who do you want to attract, what do you want to do, how to talk to them. I think it's a lot less about funnels and copy and all of that. I think it's just more about simplicity. If you have a great offer and you dial in the right person and just get them to your page and follow up. Also, by the way, conversion, I think, is a lot more about the funnel for me now is more about the extension. It's the follow up, because people take longer to make purchase decisions today than they did 10 years ago.
We're going to talk about that one in just a second, because that's a key insight. But I can't tell you, I was just having a conversation with somebody about this in Board of Experts, and they have tried to model every frickin' funnel out there, right? We've got the quiz funnel and the community funnel and the high ticket VSL funnel. And now I'm writing a book. We're going to do a book funnel. And there's no sequencing for them of the stage of business they're at, the cash flow they currently have, and what they're actually trying to achieve. And I told this person, I was like, candidly, we're like the book funnel guys. So of course, after our last event, everybody wants a book funnel, man. Everybody thinks a book funnel is going to take them to the moon. And I've had to coach a couple people down and basically go, you're not ready. No. Like if you have a decent amount of cash to invest and what you're trying to do is build authority, and you have the runway to wait 60, 90, 120 days for those leads to convert, if you can tell me I have the runway and the financials make sense, great. I will give you permission to do a book funnel. If that is not true, and what you're telling me is I need to make cash in the next 30 days, I'm like, don't launch a book funnel then. Why the heck are you launching a book funnel? You're not trying to build authority. You're trying to build the war chest that you would then use to build authority. You're one step out of sequence. And so I think that what you call strategic intent is so important when people think about conversion. What are you trying to achieve right now in your business? And really tailoring the funnel that you're focused on around achieving that objective.
Yeah.
Huge.
Dude, I'm so intentional about it right now. For me, there was a moment, I think you probably saw it. You were certainly here to experience it months ago. A part of you coming onboarding into Board of Experts as a CEO was a big part of that epiphany, was when I had that beautiful mind moment and I saw how all the different pieces I'm working on start to synergize and work together. So today, the funnels that we're getting ready to launch for Expert Scale, they're hard. I don't think most people should even try to touch the funnel I'm coming out with, but man, is it going to kick ass. I'm already calling it. I've already declared victory over that thing. Is going to be awesome, but it's strategic. There's a reason I'm doing it. I'm doing something that has a free front end. Oh, wait, how can Anik do that? Anik's all about the paid. Well, because I need to build that audience list up, because that audience list impacts what I'm doing here at Ugentic AI. It impacts this and it impacts the podcast, and it generates more leads for BOE, and it helps rebrand us and Expert Scale into the new market. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, what are all these things I need to achieve before money is ever even on my docket to talk about? Because I understand when I achieve those things, the money will come on its own. But if I build for the money, I'm always going to be doing this and that. My funnels are going to be flopping around. Build for the core infrastructure, and then the money just pours out of that. So, but like, this is why things for me are so synergistic. This is why I'm running more businesses now, doing more, achieving more, working far less than I ever did with 2 kids at home, is because like I connected this stuff and it makes sense and it flows. Most businesses that we coach, Richard, they don't have flow. And they don't have flow because the entrepreneur behind it is just every day waking up and saying, I'm going to go make some money. And unfortunately, it's not their fault. Our industry has breeded that. You go to Silicon Valley or wherever, that's not what they say. They talk about product. They talk about what change are you creating? What problem are you solving? What market share? How are you going to get market share? Who are you going to bring
equity
on your
value
side who can help solve these problems, and equity value? And they're talking about all these things. And all of a sudden, then we say, oh, that company took off. Well, you don't realize the company was planning for 7 years before they took off. It's just this industry, we've kind of put this bad messaging out there, and then I take responsibility for having been a part of that problem too. But man, if you could just slow down. And lately, by the way, everyone will be shocked to hear this from me. I mean, like anyone who's been worked with me even for 10 years is like, what? And my mantra, ask Andrew Lance right now. My mantra lately has been slow down. Take a breath. Smell the roses. And people are like, what? My wife was like,
This from Anik, go, go, Singal.
From Anik, I'm the go, go, go guy. Now, here's the thing, though. So slow down, be strategic, know what you're doing, pick it, and then move like hell.
Yeah.
But be slow in the beginning and then take off. And we just, internet marketers just can't do it. Like they just want to run. It's hard for me too. Like I have to train myself. As a matter of fact, I'm bringing on a coach, and the one of the main things he told me today, he's laughing. This guy's taken many companies public. He's done some huge things. He's awesome. And he was like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna work on slowing you down. And I was like, okay. Like I thought I was already going slower. And he's like, no, we're gonna slow it down even more. We got to really take time. So everyone who's listening right now, like, big takeaway from today's, episode before we move on, the next episode will keep going, but just like slow down, take a step back, let go of that funnel, drop the mouse. Okay. Log out of your ClickFunnels or Go High Level account and just ask yourself, become a philosopher. What do I want? Who am I? What am I trying to do? And then ask yourself, is your current team, your current funnel, your current product set, is it even going to get you there? We did this exercise. I'm not going to call her name out, but we did it with a BOE member. She made a really nice post I just saw about me today, which was kind of funny because I'm like a big picture of me behind her. It looks like a cult. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude. She made a really cool post, but the picture she used is her speaking on stage with a massive Anik behind her on the LED screen. So it literally looks like I'm a cult leader. But I think one of the biggest things that she even mentions in the post, and one of the biggest things where I was able to make an impact on her, was I remember she was like, this is my business and I really hate it. And I was like, cool. And I was like, then stop. And she goes, I can't just stop. And I'm like, sure you can. Just stop. And she's like, what? And I'm like, just don't do it anymore. Like, just stop. Just do something else. And she's doing something else now, and she's killing it, and she's loving it. And it was like, she just took a minute to be like, oh my God, I don't like where I'm going and what I'm doing. I bet you 50% of the people listening right now, I bet you 50% of the people listening right now, if they were honest with themselves and took a step back and looked at that, they'd go, shit, I'm not doing the right thing right now.
Dude, that's so prescient. Like, I know that's a fancy word, but it's the right one for the current state. Because I'm watching so many people in the online space,
by the way,
question themselves. It's like, it means it's relevant to the now and like borderline prophetic. It's like you're seeing the future. You're piercing the veil, because there's so many people in the expert space who it was easy for a little while, or it felt easy to make money for a while. And so you could trick yourself into going, this is success. I'm winning. And now when it's getting hard, those same people are going, wait, I don't even like this. My family doesn't even like me. I don't even like my life. I hate my customers, right? Like, why am I doing this? And dude, you nailed this at our most recent VOE event with your talk. But man, the two questions that come to mind as we start to come to a wrap is, what do you want? And what do you know what your customers want? So what do you want? Are you even serving the right market? Are you even in the right business? Are you even in the right vehicle? And then if you are, and it's still hard, do you actually know what your customers want, what they really want? And have you designed your offer and your acquisition channels in such a way to simply but powerfully communicate how you help them get what they want? Boom. We just solved everybody's problems.
Well, let me put some closing thoughts here. So, Agentic AI, we make investments. Like, I'm subtly pitching all of my businesses, by the way. I'm trying to practice
beautiful.
That. But at Agentic AI, we here at Agentic AI invest in AI SaaS companies. And let us know if you'd like. No, but I was on a call with someone, and he was like, well, why would someone invest with you? Like, why would they want you? These founders are doing well already. Why would they want, you're not going to give them the most money. That would be VCs. You're not going to. And this is how simplified I've made things. I looked at this person and I said, because they're lonely. And he's like, what? And I'm like, they want to be a part of something bigger. They're lonely. They want to know that there's someone who's got their back. They want someone to be able to call. Most of them just want to focus on product and don't want to deal with 17 things. And we help with that. And I just stop. And the person's like, well, shit, you're right. And so I have a call coming up with a founder right now in 20 minutes where my entire message to them is forget the valuation, forget the numbers. What's 100% or whatever, what's an extra, this number. You're miserable right now. And you love your product, but you're miserable. And the thing that's giving you misery, one stroke of it, one sign, one signature from you, we could solve it. And let's just keep it at that, because that's what they want, right? And that's what we provide. I genuinely believe what that point is. So guys, simplify things, but you got to know what your market wants. I didn't think that's what it was. 6-7 months ago when I set out in this journey, I thought, well, founders want money, founders want this, founders want that. I'm learning more and more that I'm out there. They just want companionship. They just want to be a part of something. They just want to know they can call someone for help that they trust, that's got their vested interest in it. That's it. That's what they want. All things said.
Well, that is, wow. We're going to have to do like a part 2 of this because there's so much condensed. There's 20 plus years of condensed wisdom. And I'll just honor you real quick to say, I've seen you over the last couple of years. Obviously there's the whole overcoming what would have put most people out of business, but you've gained this philosophical perspective. It's kind of like you're like the old man on the mountain now, bro. I'm not calling you old. I'm saying like you're Yoda now. You've got that Yoda vibe, that Yoda aura, where it's like you've been.
Teach you, I will.
You've been up and down the mountain, but you've got some lessons to impart. And so thanks for imparting wisdom. For those of you watching today, make sure you hit like and subscribe on this if you want more content like this that's going to pierce to the heart of what it actually is like growing an expert-based business online today. And dude, can't wait till the next episode. It's going to be dope. Thanks for dropping your wisdom today.
Yeah, man. My pleasure. Thanks for interviewing and thanks for hosting. And to everybody else, you know what I always say, when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, push the heck back. See ya.